My name is Suzanne. I am 33 years old, and I live with my 6-year-old son, Edward. He is my whole world, the reason I wake up every morning, and the reason I keep going when life feels too heavy to bear. I was once married. For a while, I believed my life was exactly what it was supposed to be, but I was wrong. My husband left me for another woman. He said he no longer loved me. He said he wanted something better. He walked out the door without a second thought, leaving me alone with a small child and a heart shattered into pieces. For weeks, I cried myself to sleep every night. Then, one morning, Edward climbed into my lap, looked up at me with his big, innocent eyes, and smiled. He grabbed my hand and asked me to play with him. In that moment, I understood something clearly. I had no right to fall apart. My son needed me. So I dried my tears, stood up, and made a promise to myself that I would be strong for him. I found work at a small hair salon nearby. I cut hair, washed hair, and swept the floors. The hours were long, my back ached constantly, and the chemicals burned my hands raw. But every evening when I came home and saw Edward waiting at the door, all that pain disappeared. He would run to me, throw his arms around my neck, and say, "Mummy, I missed you." Those 4 words gave me more strength than anything else in the world. Our life was simple and sometimes very hard. We lived in a single rented room. There were nights when food was scarce, and I would quietly skip my own meals so that Edward could eat enough. I never wanted him to feel hungry. I never wanted him to feel unsafe. He was a bright, joyful boy who loved to draw. Every night before bed, he would show me his latest drawings and say with complete seriousness, "Mummy, one day I will build you a big house." My eyes would fill with tears, but I always smiled and kissed his forehead. "That is all I dream of. My love," I would tell him. My husband never returned. He never called. He never sent a single coin for his son. After a while, I stopped waiting. Edward was enough. Edward was everything. Then one evening, everything changed. Edward had been unwell for a few days, but one night his breathing became fast and heavy. His small chest rose and fell too quickly, and his face turned pale as paper. Fear gripped me instantly. I wrapped him in my arms, ran outside into the pouring rain, and started moving as fast as my legs could carry me. I had no money for a taxi. The hospital was far. My feet were soaked, my hands were trembling, but I held him tightly against my chest and kept running. Edward whispered, "Mummy, I'm scared." "Don't be scared, my love," I said, holding him even closer. "Mummy is here." When we finally reached the hospital, the doctors took him from my arms and rushed him inside. I stood in the corridor, soaking wet and shaking, and I prayed harder than I had ever prayed in my life. "Please save my son. Take my life if you must, but save my child." The doctor came out with a serious face. Edward had a severe infection. He needed urgent treatment, and the cost was far beyond anything I had. I begged, I cried. I told the doctor I would work every hour of every day, that I would clean the hospital floors, that I would do absolutely anything. He looked at me with kind, tired eyes and told me he would do his best. For 4 days, I sat beside Edward's bed and held his little hand. I told him he was my hero. I told him he had to fight. He would open his eyes and whisper, "Mummy, please don't leave me." And every single time I gave him the same answer. Never, my love. I will stay with you until my last breath. The bills grew and grew. I worked extra shifts at the salon during the day and cleaned floors at night. I barely ate. My body was running on nothing but love and desperation. But I did not stop. My only goal, my only thought, was to save my child. Weeks passed, and Edward grew weaker instead of better. One night, the doctor told me quietly that Edward's body was struggling. My heart collapsed inside my chest. I could barely breathe, but I walked back into that room, sat beside my son, and smiled at him. I did not let him see my tears. I kissed his forehead over and over through the night and whispered prayers into the darkness. God, give him my strength, give him my life, if that is what it takes. The next morning, I felt the room spinning. My body burned with fever. I had pushed myself past every limit a person has, eaten almost nothing for weeks, and slept only in short, broken moments. I collapsed beside Edward's bed. The nurses rushed to my side, and as they lifted me, I had only one request. Please don't leave my son alone. My condition fell quickly. The doctors worked to help me, but somewhere deep inside I already knew. I looked at Edward weak, but breathing, but alive, and I held his hand one last time. "You must grow strong," I told him, my voice barely above a whisper. "You must live happily. Promise me you will take care of yourself." Tears poured down his small face. "I promise, Mummy," he said. With the last breath I had, I told him what I had told him every night of his life, the truest thing I had ever known. "I love you, my son, always." Then everything went quiet. I was gone, but my love was not. The doctors and nurses who had witnessed my sacrifice poured everything they had into saving Edward. They remembered what I had done, and they made sure it was not in vain. Slowly, steadily, Edward began to heal. He survived years later. Edward grew into a gentle and strong man. He spent his life telling my story to anyone who would listen. He would say, "My mother gave everything she had for me. She kept me alive until her very last breath. I am here today because of her love." And he was right. My body was gone, but my love never left him. It lived on in every kind thing he did, in every person he helped, in every breath he took. Because that is the truth about a mother's love. It does not end. It does not fade. It simply cannot die.